The National Insurance Board has withstood a test of all times. Another member of Parliament announcing he will not vie in the upcoming general elections, and the Progressive Liberal Party making a plea to a social media giant. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastien. It's Thursday, March 4th. Thanks for staying with us. Debate on the mid-year budget continued in the House of Assembly this morning, with Public Service and National Insurance Minister Brenzo Rolle delivering his contribution. Minister Rolle revealing that NIB has withstood the greatest test in its history thus far. However, the minister says that the government must ensure that NIB can withstand the next big disaster.
We do not know where it will come from or what it would be. But we know that it is coming, and we must be ready. We must ensure that NIB is able to make benefit payments and keep the country going until the storm or disaster pass. When these disasters strike and deal devastating blows to the Bahamian economy, for us to survive, NIB must be strong.
More than $104 million in unemployment benefits was paid out by NIB, according to the minister, and that's in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic.
It was this assistance, Mr. Speaker, that kept the Bahamian economy afloat. $104 million injected directly into the system. This assistance saved us all, Mr. Speaker, whether we want to admit it or not. These funds generated and demand and propel economic activities throughout the length and breadth of this nation, keeping people employed, putting food on the table, and turning our economic engine.
Well, while delivering his mid-year budget communication, the Member of Parliament for Garden Hills formally announced that he will not be seeking to run in the upcoming general elections.
I made the determination that I would not seek re-election, Mr. Speaker, and I would serve until the Prime Minister calls the election, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank, Mr. Speaker, eternally thank the good people of the Garden Hills constituency, Mr. Speaker. I hold this up. I want to thank the good people of the Garden Hills constituency for their continued and unflinching support, Mr. Speaker.
Last month, Free National Movement Chairman Carl Culmer announced that Stephen Greenslade was ratified for the constituency. Minister Rolle adds that he fully endorses the candidate and will continue to serve until Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis rings the election bell. He is the second MP to make such an announcement in the lower chambers this week. Mangrove Key and South and Central Andros MP Picewell Forbes being the first this past Monday. Former Member of Parliament and the former Minister of Tourism Obi Wilshcombe unofficially secured votes as the Progressive Liberal Party's candidate nominee for Bimini constituency in the upcoming 2022 general elections. Mr. Wilshcombe received 94 votes as the PLP Bimini Constituency Committee this past Tuesday. This past Sunday, he also won the majority of the votes for West Grand Bahama. Mr. Wilshcombe says this represents the wish of the people and it sends a message to the party. In the last general elections, the former cabinet minister who served from 2012 to 2017 lost his seat to Free National Movement newcomer Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe. When asked if the current MP has done enough for the constituency, Mr. Wilshcombe says this.
I think throughout the country we have a lot of concerns, and equally so in the West and in Bimini constituency. You must remember there are tremendous expectations, and the people were in fact promised much that they have not received. People want it better, and I think in our country what we've done over each 5 years is we come and we say what we're going to do, and then it's not done. And then 5 years later, the people make changes. What we need to do is put our country on a sustainable path of growth and development, but it has to be predicated upon a plan of action that is sustainable.
Mr. Wilshcombe notes some of the projects he wishes to continue,
many of which the government is seeking to complete but not yet completed, such as the administrative complex in 8 Mile Rock, the high school in Holmes Rock, they're not completed yet, the administrative complex in Bimini, sitting there, not opened yet. These were projects that were started by my team in the Progressive Liberal Party. Now, it's all intended to cause for further economic growth because you need to have anchors.
He notes that there have been a series of promises that range from the West Grand Bahama Hotel to programs for education and growth in development by the current administration. Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis calling on the social media platform Facebook to stop allowing fake organizations to advertise on its medium. In a letter to Facebook's Vice President and General Counsel Jennifer Newstead and its Chief Compliance Officer Henry Moniz, Mr. Davis provided the names of 11 Facebook accounts which he says are fake, and he says they're fraudulently representing themselves as legitimate organizations. He contends that these accounts do not represent legitimate organizations as they have no offices, staff, or cannot be contacted. He accuses them of being only advertising political content, much of which he says is defamatory and libelous. The PLP leader is petitioning the multinational company to change their internal policies that currently allow fake organizations to advertise. This move comes after a recent noted increase in negative paid Facebook ads flooding Bahamian feeds, he says, many using the PLP logo in order to falsely suggest a connection with the organization, and at least one startling ad featuring Anne-Marie Davis, his wife, and female PLP candidates with duct tape over their mouths. Mr. Davis telling the social media giant that his organization believes that if they would take the simple step of requiring organizations to be legitimate before allowing them to advertise, they would have an enormous impact in the health of public discourse. You're watching JCN News. When we return, National Security Minister Marvin Dames making a plea, and it's World Obesity Day. Stay with us.